A sinister blood-red aura enveloped Sha Li, emanating a thick scent of bloodlust. He glared at Lin Dong, who had just reached the mountain peak, his twisted grin filled with malice, and his eyes glowed red with murderous intent. Sha Li clearly harbored intense, killing intent toward this man who had dared to challenge them earlier. Lin Dong, on the other hand, looked back at Sha Li, now entirely encased in that blood-colored aura, with a slight frown. He hadn't anticipated that Sha Li would also choose this peak, nor that he would end up defeating Qing Tung in the process. Lin Dong knew Qing Tung's strength well and was aware of his impressive speed. By his calculations, Qing Tung should have secured a spot among the top contenders of the 10 peaks. Yet, Sha Li's intervention had dashed Qing Tung's ascent. For Sha Li to defeat Qing Tung was a clear testament to his formidable power. The Blood Demon Shark clan's reputation was well earned. "You all right?" Lin Dong asked, glancing down at Qing Tung. "Ugh." Qing Tung forced himself upright, wiping the blood from his mouth. He looked at Lin Dong with a complicated expression and shook his head. "This guy's got some strange tricks. At first, we were evenly matched, but then he suddenly powered up out of nowhere." "You ignorant fool," Sha Li sneered, revealing his jagged, glinting teeth. "This is one of the Blood Demon Shark clan's secret arts. By evaporating our own blood, we can amplify our strength. Sure, it leaves a few side effects, but after I kill the two of you, a little of your blood should be enough to fix me right up." He cracked his neck with a sickening pop, curled a finger toward Lin Dong, and taunted, "Come on, kid. Weren't you acting all high and mighty just now? Let's see if you're still as bold." Then, casting a glance toward another mountain peak, Sha Li sneered, "I reckon by now Sha Ling has run into that little girl from the immortal Sacred Whale clan. Heh, I imagine she's in for a pretty miserable time." At these words, Lin Dong's eyes narrowed, a chilling glint flashing within them. He muttered, "You might be disappointed with that outcome." Sha Ling, the girl Sha Li referred to, was indeed strong enough to aim for the top 10 of the rookie rankings. But Mu Lingshan wasn't exactly an easy target either. The little girl harbored secrets that Lin Dong himself couldn't fully grasp, and if she were to face Sha Ling head-on, he doubted she would be defeated so easily. "Oh, really?" Sha Li sneered, waving his hand dismissively. "Well, whatever. I'll handle her later. But you? Your life's ending here. And when she finds your body, her reaction should be satisfying." "Qing Tung, mind if I handle this one?" Lin Dong asked, turning to him. "I've already lost, so it's yours to take. Just be careful," Qing Tung said with a bitter smile, a flash of ferocity in his gaze. "Make him pay." "Couldn't agree more." Lin Dong grinned, and his hand gripped the Thunder Emperor's scepter. Sparks of lightning crackled around him, filling the air with a humming tension. Sha Li let out a cold laugh, his blood-red eyes flaring intensely. Clenching his fists, he suddenly conjured a layer of crimson scales across his skin. His hands fused together, transforming into two massive, sinister-looking bone blades that glimmered with an icy sheen. The atmosphere around him seemed to ripple with the intensity of his aura. Whoosh! Now resembling a monstrous creature clad in scales, Sha Li fixated his blood-red gaze on Lin Dong. With a wild cackle, he shot forward, leaving a scarlet trail in the air as he charged straight for him. Swish, swish. Blood-red slashes sliced through the space around them with blinding speed, each one aiming directly at Lin Dong's throat in an unforgiving assault. The Thunder Emperor's scepter exploded with blinding lightning as Lin Dong whipped it forward, sending streaks of energy crashing into the exact points where the blood blades intersected. Clang! The piercing clash reverberated through the air, unleashing a powerful shockwave that shattered nearby boulders into dust on impact. Swish, swish, swish. Amid the chaotic storm of energy, Sha Li's blood-red silhouette suddenly appeared behind Lin Dong. Shark Fang Frenzy. Blood-red shards whizzed through the air like a downpour of razor-sharp shark fangs. Each was honed to a lethal edge, carrying a force that even a practitioner at the great completion of the life mystique stage would struggle to withstand. Sha Li was ruthlessly relentless, his attacks imbued with unrestrained killing intent. Thunder Shield. Sensing the overwhelming danger closing in from behind, Lin Dong's eyes hardened. He drove the Thunder Emperor's scepter forcefully into the ground, and a radiant lightning barrier erupted around him, encasing him in a protective layer of thunder energy. Blood-red energy crashed fiercely onto the thunder shield, creating an explosive sound like rolling thunder. Despite the powerful, relentless assault, which sent ripples spreading across the barrier, it remained unbroken. With the Thunder Emperor's scepter in hand, Lin Dong's defense and offense were now in flawless harmony. Ripples burst across the thunder shield as Lin Dong's eyes flashed coldly. In a sudden motion, he unleashed the Thunder Emperor's scepter with terrifying force. It streaked through the night like a bolt of lightning, piercing the thunder shield and shattering the layers of blood-colored energy to strike a shadowy figure in the distance. Boom! A deep, thunderous impact reverberated as the figure trembled violently, its barrage of attacks instantly collapsing. Forced back several steps, the figure's blood-streaked form occasionally flickered with lightning. "Impressive defense and offense," Sha Li sneered, touching his chest where the Thunder Emperor's scepter had struck. A blackened patch marred his scales, but with a wave of his hand, the charred area vanished, revealing an unscathed layer of blood-red scales that gleamed with unbreakable resilience. "Even with that scepter, you can't penetrate my demon shark scale hide." Lin Dong narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing the eerie scales on Sha Li's body. The strange red light flickering over them unsettled him, as he could feel how they had dissipated the sheer force of his attack upon contact. This scale hide was certainly peculiar. "Lin Dong, that demon shark scale hide is a secret art of the Blood Demon Shark clan," Qing Tong called out from behind. "It's not a martial technique. It's made of countless blood demon shark ants that can devour any energy. It's nearly impossible to break through. I suffered because of it earlier." "So, this scale hide is actually alive?" Lin Dong thought, startled. No wonder it felt so unnerving. It was formed by those bloodthirsty demon ants. "Your attacks are useless against me, but mine will take your lives." Sha Li threw back his head and laughed, lunging forward with a powerful strike aimed at Lin Dong. "You humans are so inferior. How could you compare to the Blood Demon Shark clan?" Lin Dong's eyes remained cold and detached, ignoring Sha Li's taunts as he darted aside to evade the attack. The Thunder Emperor's scepter moved in a sharp arc, striking once more at Sha Li. "I told you, my demon shark scalehide makes me invulnerable." Sha Li sneered mockingly, watching Lin Dong's attack. But Lin Dong's grip on the scepter didn't waver. Just as it was about to land, he smirked, his voice icy. "Then I'll just have to shatter that shark skin of yours." "With what?" Sha Li scoffed. Lin Dong's eyes glinted as he focused, and a strange light formation, the size of a palm, suddenly appeared at the tip of the Thunder Emperor's scepter. As it spun, a unique energy burst forth. Sha! A peculiar beam of light shot from the formation, striking Sha Li's chest. As it hit, a sharp, agonized scream erupted from the scalehide, and an area the size of a fist disintegrated under the light, revealing a hollow as if the scalehide was being decomposed. "Without that scalehide, what are you?" Lin Dong grinned at the horrified Sha Li, his arm tightening as he summoned the Azure Dragon Light pattern. Channeling immense force through the Thunder Emperor's scepter, he slammed it into the exposed hollow in the demon shark scalehide. Bang! A harsh, low sound echoed across the peak. Sha Li's body flew back, spitting blood as he crashed into the ground, skidding and leaving a trail more than 100 meters long before embedding into a massive boulder. Fragments of rock scattered everywhere, Sha Li embedded within, looking utterly battered. Cough! Sha Li coughed up blood, his face contorted with shock and disbelief as he glanced down at the wound on his chest, trembling. He knew all too well the resilience of his scalehide. Even Qing Tong's full strength couldn't breach it. But now, Lin Dong, only at the perfect completion of the life mystique stage, had shattered it with ease. "Impossible," Sha Li muttered, his face twisting with rage. "You worthless human. How could you break my demon shark scalehide?" Swish. But before he could react, Lin Dong's ghostly figure reappeared, lightning flashing as a scepter strike, filled with murderous intent, thrust ruthlessly toward Sha Li's throat. Sha Li felt the ice-cold intent within that strike, and cold sweat instantly drenched his forehead. At last, he realized that Lin Dong intended to kill him. Sha Li gritted his teeth and crossed his arms in front of him defensively, channeling his primordial energy in a fierce rush, like a flood surging through him. Boom! The Thunder Emperor's scepter crashed heavily onto Sha Li's forearms. A small light formation at the scepter's head flickered, releasing a strange beam that seared into the demon shark scale hide covering his arms, melting it away as if snow under blazing fire. Damn it! Sha Li's face twisted in shock as his scale hide dissolved. Just as he spat out a curse, a tremendous force erupted between his arms like a volcanic blast, shattering the stone behind him and hurling him hundreds of meters backward. But before he could regain his footing, Lin Dong's spectral figure materialized in front of him, the Thunder Emperor's scepter in hand. Lin Dong unleashed a storm of scepter strikes, the bludgeoning shadows overwhelming Sha Li's ashen face. Bang! 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 The air erupted with a fierce crackling, like firecrackers echoing in mid-air, as each scepter shadow exploded upon Sha Li's body with terrifying force. His form was knocked from the sky, plummeting rapidly toward the ground. Qing Tang stared in stunned disbelief at Sha Li, now utterly powerless under Lin Dong's relentless onslaught. Having fought Sha Li personally, Qing Tang knew his frightening resilience. Even so, Sha Li now looked close to being beaten into the dirt. One by one, other experts began to reach the mountaintop. However, upon witnessing Sha Li's battered form being driven downward by Lin Dong's brutal assault, they couldn't help but flinch. Lin Dong's raw, unrestrained power was truly terrifying. Get out of here! Lin Dong's eyes were cold as blades, and he swung the Thunder Emperor's scepter down hard, striking Sha Li's blood-soaked shoulder. Crack! A faint snap of breaking bones filled the air. Sha Li coughed up a mouthful of blood, his face drained of color as he stared at Lin Dong's cold, murderous expression. Horror flooded his gaze as he clutched the spirit seal in his hand, crushing it instantly. The broken seal warped the space around him, as if a gaping mouth opened to swallow Sha Li's bloodied, pitiful form whole. Lin Dong, I won't forgive you for this. A desperate, wrathful roar echoed from where Sha Li disappeared, lingering around the mountaintop. The fury was evident in the cry, but beneath it lay a distinct tremor of fear. Clearly, Lin Dong's ferocious assault had left a haunting mark on this powerful warrior from the Blood Demon Shark clan. Tisich, Lin Dong scoffed, glancing at the spot where Sha Li had vanished, then loosened his grip on the Thunder Emperor's scepter. Sha Li's demon shark scalehide had indeed been formidable, a defense only those at the great completion of the Death Mystique stage could likely break. Without Lin Dong's Chinkuan array's disintegrating force, the battle might have been far tougher. Others had gathered on the mountain peak now, but seeing Lin Dong hovering midair, none dared to make a move. Lin Dong looked down at them, then lifted his Thunder Emperor's scepter with a smile. Anyone else? The crowd exchanged glances and shook their heads in unison. No one in their right mind would challenge him now, not after he'd swept through his enemies like a god of war. You win. The summit seal is yours, Qing Tang admitted with a sigh. In that moment, he had to acknowledge that Lin Dong truly possessed the strength to surpass them. Thanks for the opportunity, Lin Dong responded with a grin, not holding back. He gazed toward the peak of the mountain, where a glowing seal hovered, claiming it would secure his right to contend for the Thunder Ancestral Talisman. With a swift leap, Lin Dong passed through the clouds, reaching the summit and seizing the summit seal. As it settled in his hand, the mist around him thickened, radiating outwards in a parallel wave. Raising his gaze, Lin Dong felt he had nearly reached the upper limits of this space. Through the haze, he could glimpse the vast forest stretching into the distance. The summit seal emitted a concentrated pillar of light, enveloping Lin Dong as he stood on the peak, drawing every eye to him. Lin Dong observed the light surrounding him, then cast his gaze toward the distant misty mountains where 9 other peaks lay hidden. Before long, the cover of clouds dispersed, pierced by radiant beams of light that shot skyward. Within each of those beams, human figures cloaked in powerful auras began to emerge, their forms gradually sharpening into view. Lin Dong narrowed his eyes as he focused on the figures in the columns of light, his fists instinctively clenching. The scene became clearer, and soon, two particularly prominent figures appeared in his line of sight. The first, a man dressed in black, wore a chilling smile that sent a shiver down one's spine. It was Hua Chen. Standing nearby, leaning casually against a stone wall, was another figure cloaked in black. A breeze lifted his hood, revealing a face wrapped entirely in bandages, sinister in appearance. The faceless one. Sushio. Lin Dong's gaze turned icy as he fixed on the two of them. So, they'd made it here after all. Those two. They were bound to show up sooner or later. Taking a deep breath, Lin Dong glanced toward two other mountain peaks. Moments later, two familiar figures emerged, one with striking red hair, the other in blue. They were Tang Xinlian and Zhou Zhe. Beams of light continued to rise from the other four mountain peaks. Among them, Lin Dong recognized Tang Kuei, a skilled fighter ranked 5th on the newcomers list. It was hardly surprising he'd earned a summit seal. The others, though unfamiliar, emitted powerful auras and were clearly dark horses in this tournament. Atop the peaks, Tang Xinlian and Zhou Zhe scanned their surroundings before locking eyes with Lin Dong. All of their gazes eventually fell on Hua Chen and Sushio. Everyone understood. These two were the most dangerous adversaries in the Thunder Dominion tournament. And one last mountain. Lin Dong's gaze shifted to the final peak just as a light column ascended, revealing a petite figure. Thud. The figure hefted a massive coffin lid and slammed it onto the summit. As she did, a bright smile broke out on her delicate face as she glanced toward Lin Dong. It was Mu Lingshan. Her clothes were slightly torn, evidence of a recent tough battle. Yet, to Lin Dong's surprise, her aura had grown considerably stronger since he'd last seen her. She actually broke through to the death mystique stage. Quite the surprising little girl. Lin Dong chuckled softly, finally putting his worries to rest. It seemed Mu Lingshan didn't need his protection after all. Now, the real challenge begins. His gaze shifted back to the two shadowy figures in the distance. Deep in his black pupils, a flicker of lightning coiled like a thunder dragon, quietly amassing strength. In Blaze City, the fragmented mirrors in the sky converged once again, forming a vast, towering light mirror that dominated the heavens. The city's inhabitants gazed up, their eyes fixed on the mirror, where a cloud-shrouded image of the 10 figures atop the peaks began to form. Those 10 figures stood tall, each exuding a formidable aura that even the boundless mirror couldn't fully conceal. The sheer power of those who had survived the grueling eliminations and ascended to the summit was evident. These weren't people who had made it by luck alone. Sushio, Tang Xinlian, and Zhou Zhe, they made it to the top, just as expected. The top 3 on the newcomers list are truly as strong as rumored, and Tang Kuei and Lin Dong joined them. They're both no pushovers, that's for sure. Not to mention those dark horses who seem unfamiliar but are undeniably powerful. The tournament's been full of surprises. Still, when it comes to vying for the Thunder Ancestral Talisman, it's likely down to Sushio, Tang Xinlian, and Zhou Zhe. The real battle is about to begin. Whispers buzzed through the city as the 10 figures materialized in the light mirror. Lin Dong and Lingshan made it to the top. Guya exclaimed joyfully from a nearby pavilion, her eyes lighting up at the sight of the two familiar figures. Gu Mengqi smiled faintly. She was somewhat surprised to see Mu Lingshan at the summit, but Lin Dong's presence was no shock. His strength had stunned many. But the critical moment is just ahead, Gu Yin murmured softly. Gu Mengqi nodded, her gaze fixed on the towering light mirror in the sky. Joining Lin Dong at the summit were the nearly unbeatable top 3 of the newcomers list. Though she knew Lin Dong's capabilities, these opponents weren't ordinary. Beating them to claim the Thunder Ancestral Talisman would be no easy feat. Whoever emerged victorious here would not only earn the talisman but would also rise to the pinnacle of the young elite in the Chaos Demon Sea. Gu Mengqi gazed at the young man standing atop the mountain peak, holding the Thunder Emperor's scepter and braving the wind. Her lips pressed together as she mused about Lin Dong. a nameless figure in the Chaos Demon Sea just a year prior, wondering how radiant and confident he might be now, standing there at the summit. He made it to the top. Within the main hall of the Flame Deity Palace, Missouri Luo stood with hands clasped behind his back, his gaze fixed on the immense light mirror in the sky. His eyes lingered on the figures of Hua Chen and Su Xiu within the reflection. This aura, it's alien demons, all right? Those two are no ordinary foes. Mo Luo's eyes narrowed briefly, and as he refocused on the two figures in the boundless mirror, a cold gleam flashed in his eyes, showing they hadn't escaped his detection. They're strong, noted the red-robed Grand Elder of the Flame Deity Palace, who had silently appeared behind Mo Luo. His white brows furrowed as he stared at Hua Chen and Su Xiu. Indeed, Sha Li and her team will face considerable difficulty trying to beat them. Mo Luo's gaze turned somber as he glanced toward the azure horizon, his voice steady. Our target has yet to appear. If they realize the Thunder Ancestral Talisman is a fake, our plan will fail, and drawing them out in the future will become infinitely harder. We can only hope that Sha Li and her team can hold Hua Chen and Su Xiu at bay, the Grand Elder sighed. Mo Luo nodded. Palace Master, has Lord Qingji arrived yet? The red-robed elder asked, clearly uneasy. No one knew what caliber of alien demon might appear, but given the allure of the Thunder Ancestral Talisman, it was certain they'd face no ordinary threat. Don't worry, Mo Luo replied calmly. The moment an alien demon appears, they will make their move, and if our plan fails, Qingji won't show up at all. The elder nodded slightly. He understood that a peak-level powerhouse like Qingji wouldn't want to reveal himself too soon. Even a hint of his presence would alert any alien demons lurking in the shadows. Our top priority is to keep the plan on course. As long as we keep the Thunder Ancestral Talisman out of Hua Chen's reach, those hidden alien demon leaders will be forced to make a move. Mo Luo took a deep breath, his eyes shifting subtly in the boundless mirror before glancing up toward a slender figure on the summit, his hand clenching slowly. Lindong, if Sha Li and the others fail, it may all come down to you. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Mo Luo murmured. After all, Sha Li and her team are formidable in their own right. Amid swirling mist, 10 towering peaks pierced through, and 10 figures stood atop them, casting their gazes downward, as if the entire world within the boundless mirror lay beneath their feet. At the heart of these 10 mountains stood the boundless main peak, its summit crackling with lightning and emitting a fearsome energy that rumbled with thunder. All eyes were drawn to the main peak, where the Thunder Ancestral Talisman lay tantalizingly close. An honor to face off against young elites from the Chaos Demon Sea here, Hua Chen, clad in black, said from one of the peaks. His gaze lingered briefly on the Thunder Ancestral Talisman before scanning the crowd with a modest smile that felt almost humble. Lindong, Tang Xinlian, and Jose observed coolly. Hua Chen's formidable power only made his humility more unsettling. Some who didn't know Hua Chen's true identity glanced at him, their expressions showing disdain. They recognized that anyone who made it this far was no ordinary person, but Hua Chen's demeanor still seemed off-putting. I've longed to acquire the Thunder Ancestral Talisman, and I hope you all will allow me this wish. Hua Chen's smile remained as he moved toward the main peak. Huh, you've got some nerve. The Thunder Ancestral Talisman isn't for the likes of you. A sneering voice cut through the air as a stranger surged forward, channeling violent primordial energy that twisted into a streak aimed straight at Hua Chen. Dark energy coiled within it, a clear sign the man was a strong practitioner at the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage. Heh. Hua Chen's smile widened as he watched his opponent's attack approach without dodging. The violent energy lashed against his body, but he remained unscathed amidst the furious storm. What? The attacker's expression changed immediately, sensing something was amiss. As he tried to retreat, the space around him twisted, and Hua Chen's figure appeared before him. It seems my friend here has a grudge against me, Hua Chen sneered, his grin turning savage. Black energy surged from Hua Chen's fingertips, and in an instant, his hand, sharp as a claw, pierced through the air and latched onto the top of his target's skull. His gaze turned vicious, and with one powerful yank, boom, a muffled explosion sounded, and the man's head burst instantly, blood and brain matter scattering in every direction. A streak of golden light shot out from his body, trying to flee. Heh, trying to run? Hua Chen sneered, opening his mouth as black energy swirled and a powerful suction pulled the golden glow, an essence spirit, into him. Ah! As Hua Chen absorbed the golden light, a shrill scream seeped from between his clenched teeth, sending a chilling aura through the area. What? The other experts atop the peaks stared in shock, horror flashing in their eyes. This was a warrior at the minor completion of the death mystique stage, yet in Hua Chen's hands, he was utterly powerless. Just who was this man? Anyone else have any objections? Hua Chen licked his lips, a gesture that made a cold shiver run through the crowd. Then, smiling, he scanned the onlookers. Silence. Heh. Hua Chen sneered, his gaze mocking. Lin Dong's eyes were cold as steel, his grip on the Thunder Emperor's scepter tightening. Just as he was about to step forward, a fiery figure appeared atop a distant peak, a woman radiating icy killing intent. Clang. She raised her elegant yet deadly fire phoenix spear, pointing it straight at Hua Chen. Tang Xinlian's eyes were like ice, as fierce primordial energy gathered around her like a storm. This is Flame Deity Palace territory. Yuan sect members, get out. The flame-clad figure hovered in midair, her fiery red hair fluttering in the breeze, her stunning face set in a look of fierce determination. Boom. A fierce tornado of energy erupted around Tang Xinlian, distorting the very air with its force. Her strength was intimidating. Inside and outside the boundless mirror, all eyes turned toward the red-clad figure, captivated. Tang Xinlian's reputation matched her beauty in this chaos demon sea. Ha, the famed fire fairy of Flame Deity Palace indeed, Hua Chen said, his eyes narrowing as he locked onto the spear-wielding Tang Xinlian. Such boldness is rare, even among men. Tang Xinlian's gaze remained fixed on Hua Chen, her once bright eyes now cold and murderous. Her spear held steady as she spoke. I'll be your opponent. Hua Chen squinted, knowing Tang Xinlian's power. If they clashed, she could indeed hold her ground. Yet his true desire lay with obtaining the Thunder Ancestral Talisman. Atop another peak, a black-robed man leaning against a rock wall slowly lifted his hood, revealing a face wrapped in eerie bandages. Slitted, snake-like eyes peered at Tang Xinlian, and he began to approach. Crack. With each step, cracks formed in the ground beneath his feet, releasing an ominous aura. Heh. But before he could get closer, a gentle laugh echoed, and a blue light appeared in front of him. Apologies, but their fight isn't for you to interfere with. Jose smiled calmly at the black-robed man. You're no match for me, the bandaged man rasped, his slitted pupils focused on Jose. How about we find out? Jose's voice remained calm as soft white energy radiated from him, and a faint roar, like a giant white elephant, seemed to shake the air around them. It appears obtaining the Thunder Ancestral Talisman won't be without a fight. Hua Chen chuckled as he observed, his gaze turning cold. In that case, I'll just kill them all. Think you're capable of it? Tang Xinlian's eyes sparkled with defiance, and she smirked, casting a sidelong glance toward Lin Dong. Lin Dong, don't let anyone lay a finger on the Thunder Ancestral Talisman. Lin Dong nodded slightly. It seemed a grand battle was inevitable. So, you're just going to be a useless spectator again? Hua Chen glanced at Lin Dong with a mocking smile. His voice dripped with sarcasm. Lin Dong ignored Hua Chen's taunts, sitting cross-legged, focusing his primordial energy within. He needed to bring himself to peak form. Seeing Lin Dong ignore his provocation, Hua Chen sneered, ready to taunt further. But Tang Xinlian's eyes turned icy, and in a swift movement, she charged forward. Her phoenix fire spear danced through the air, creating trails of spear shadows that swept toward Hua Chen with fierce intensity, filling the air around him. Less talk. Your opponent is me, she declared. Hua Chen laughed, glancing at the fierce approach of Tang Xinlian. If the fire fairy herself challenges me with such spirit, would I, Hua Chen, retreat like Lin Dong and seem just as weak? With a burst of laughter, He clasped his hands together, and dark energy rose from his fingertips. With a mighty punch, he unleashed a torrent of black light that obliterated the spear's shadows in its path. "Come now, Fire Fairy," he scoffed. "If you're going to fight, take it seriously. Tricks like this are useless against me." Tang Xinlian's clear eyes narrowed with cold determination. She gripped her phoenix spear tightly, and an overwhelming surge of primordial energy radiated out, encasing the spear in crimson light that flared like a raging inferno. The piercing call of a phoenix echoed through the sky. "Scarlet Moon of the Phoenix." In a flash, the crimson light condensed at her spear's tip, forming a vast red moon. Flames danced around its edges, emanating an aura of terrifying destruction. Anyone could see that Tang Xinlian was no longer holding back. Against a foe like Hua Chen, mere probing was pointless. Scarlet Moon Slash. With a fierce shout, Tang Xinlian brought her spear down, sending the red moon hurtling toward Hua Chen, tearing through space like a crimson flash of lightning. "Now this is interesting," Hua Chen laughed. He took a step forward as black energy poured out from him, and his eyes darkened, giving him an eerie aura. Ashura demon force, crush? Under the shroud of thick black mist, Hua Chen's figure seemed to transform into a ghastly demon. Without any attempt to evade, he raised a finger surrounded by dark energy and pointed it forward. Whoosh! A ray of black light shot forth, piercing through space and colliding fiercely with the crimson moon. The sky erupted with waves of energy that rippled outward. The sheer ferocity of the collision left even some Death Mystique minor completion experts watching in shock. The intensity of the battle was such that even they wouldn't dare intervene recklessly. While Tang Xinlian and Hua Chen clashed, on another part of the battlefield, Zhou Zhe and Su Xiu, who had been in a standoff, suddenly radiated killing intent. Blinding white and black lights shot skyward, splitting the sky in half as the powerful rumble of an elephant's call reverberated through the heavens. Boom, boom, boom. The two battles instantly became the focal points of everyone within the Boundless Mirror's domain. Eyes widened with awe as this display of power played out, a rare confrontation showcasing the pinnacle of the younger generation's strength. On other mountaintops, many strong warriors observed the four fighters' skill with growing trepidation. None dared make the first move for the Thunder Ancestral Talisman. As the intense roar of primordial energy filled the sky, Lin Dong sat calmly at the summit, his dark eyes gazing impassively upon the distant battlefields like a still, bottomless lake. A small figure approached him quietly and settled beside him. Mu Lingshan pouted as she looked at Lin Dong's calm expression. "Big brother Lin Dong, that guy is so obnoxious. Why didn't you just knock him down?" She could tell that Lin Dong's apparent indifference toward Hua Chen's provocations had drawn some disdainful glances. People who didn't understand the agreement between Lin Dong and Tang Xinlian saw his silence as weakness, failing to see the true depth of his restraint. Hearing her complaint, Lin Dong chuckled softly. His gaze shifted to the two raging battlefields, now the focus of countless eyes. "I need a bit more time to adjust my condition," he replied. Mu Lingshan blinked in confusion. From her view, Lin Dong's current state seemed perfectly fine. "The battles to come," Lin Dong admitted with a deep breath, "are ones where even I can't guarantee victory." Mu Lingshan's face turned pale as she glanced at the two battlefields. "But Sister Xinlian and Zhou Zhe don't seem to be at much of a disadvantage." She trailed off, worry dawning on her face as she looked at Lin Dong.